When I was 12, I loved to draw. I wanted to express myself. I wanted to live through my art. Between my love for art and food, I figured, hey, I want to be a pastry chef. But that's not the way it worked out. I'm Micah Fields, and I am from Los Angeles, California. I am the chef and owner of Iron Catering Crew. I grew up in Pasadena, California. I was raised by a pastor and very church-loving home. My dad was a pastor, so it's an Orthodox Catholic pastor, and we were raised kosher. Being raised kosher, I just ate strictly beef and chicken, so there was no pork, no shellfish, very limited seafood. But the way that influenced my cooking today is I use a lot of bacon, a lot of shellfish, and pretty much anything that is not kosher. So I signed up for culinary school when I was 12. My mother and my father took me down to the actual culinary school, the Le Cordon Bleu in Pasadena at the time. As soon as I finished high school, that's when I was allowed into culinary school. Went through that process, so it was about a year and a half. I was 19 when I graduated, and I was 19 when I went to London, England to work for Gordon Ramsay. I hand wrote about 25 letters of the same letter and sent it to restaurants all over the world, some of them which I had never heard of, one of them being Gordon Ramsay. And I only got one callback from one person, and that was the head chef at the Gordon Ramsay restaurant in London, England. So being a 19-year-old kid that just graduated from culinary school, and we had to finish off at doing an externship, meaning going outside of somewhere. Never been outside of the country before, so it was definitely an experience. Yeah, I didn't know anything about Europe, really. All my chefs were like, Micah, you gotta go work with this guy, you have this opportunity, don't fuck this up. And he had 3 Michelin stars, so I had to go for it. And not knowing anybody out there, I pretty much lived in a hostel, and that was a whole nother story in itself. And it was difficult because I would get up at 6 in the morning, ride my bike for 45 minutes to go to Earl's Court, worked in the restaurant from about 7 in the morning till 1 at night, had to ride my bicycle back 45 minutes to the hostel. So I was running on 3-4 hours sleep. It was tough. I got my ass handed to me. We would spend a couple weeks out of the summer at my grandmother's house, and one of the earliest memories that I had was the first time my grandmother said, hey, come here, I want to show you how to make my Mexican rice. And that was one of the first dishes that I remember learning how to make when I was a kid. I love my grandmother very much. She was a very special part of my childhood. And the fact that she was able to teach me how to make her Mexican rice, or the way that she makes it, that will stay with me forever, because I still use that recipe to this day. Every time I make it, I think of my grandmother, and I think about that moment when we were in the kitchen and it was just me and her. It's a very special memory that I think I'll always have. Even though I deviate from her recipe a little bit, she taught me the base for what I use today. My mother, she used to make, very simple enchiladas. For some reason, it felt very homey. There's only about 2 or 3 dishes she would pull out that were the special ones, and her enchiladas were definitely one of the special ones. When you use fresh ingredients, or when you use things from the produce market, food is alive, and I feel like there's a connection with food. There's a respect that you sort of have to give food, care for the ingredients, the way that you sear something or saute something. It's paying attention to detail, just being thoughtful about it, and being thoughtful about how you're using it, and being thoughtful about the end result of the product. And I feel that's the connection that I have with the food, and that's how I put my soul into the food, is just by giving it love from start to finish.
Absolutely necessary.